Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com. You're not going to believe what I've got for you today. It is unbelievable, increíble, incroyable, unglaublich. I'm not kidding. It is stupefying. It is. Are you ready? Oh boy. The Vienna Philharmonic Deluxe Edition, Volume 1, which means there will be more. We'll see, I guess. Who knows? But, I mean, here it is. It's now DG and Decca. How do I get around this thing? Let me do this way. Anyway. Yes, the Vienna Philharmonic. Ta-da! Yeah, I know. Okay. We get the point, right? Isn't this beyond exciting? Now, how many Vienna Philharmonic editions have there been? There was really the best one, which was the Decca one, because Decca actually has, I think, better stuff than Deutsche Grammophon, or at least it's been better selected historically. And there were a couple on DG. There was the 150th anniversary edition, and there was another box of miscellaneous garbage, and, it was the Vienna Philharmonic, garbage edition. And there's just endless quantities of Vienna Philharmonic boxes. And don't get me wrong, I like boxes devoted to ensembles. I think that they're very, very interesting, and generally more interesting and often of a higher quality, if well curated, than boxes devoted to individual artists, who tend to be quite hit and miss, as you know. But this is Volume 1. It has 20 CDs in it, costs about $100. It is designed to be as space consuming as humanly possible, but it's deluxe packaging. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a heavy duty, it's supposed to be a book. It's supposed to go into a shelf, like that. You slide it into the shelf. And it looks like, you're going to have a bunch of encyclopedias, by the time they're done and they get to volume, 627. I'm very curious to see what's going to be in future volumes. There doesn't seem to be any sort of, I haven't seen anyway a press release or any information about what's upcoming, only that they have Volume 1. Now, let's take a look inside and see how it works. So you've got this nice, hardcover, cardboard, opening thing. And once you open it, you have these... It's larger than my room. Okay, here we go. There we go. You have these double thick cardboard pages, and on each side you have a CD. Now, of course, part of the fun is getting the CD out of the slot. Now, okay. So here's the CD. You can go in there and try and get it out with your fingernails and scratch it all up. But I think this is a job, for those of you who saw it, for my CD extraction kit. And boy, am I glad I got this. If you're wondering what this is, have a look at the video. There's a chat about how to extract your CDs from annoying packaging. And I have my rubber-coated tweezer devices here, quite a few of them. Oh my goodness, yes. Well, there's this one. This one is I think, pretty good. But, and then there was this thing, which has different prongs depending on how far in you got to go. That one's good. Make sure that they're rubber tipped so you don't scratch up your CD. But as some of you may know, I like these. I really like these. These red ones were terrific. Did I just take those out? No, I had those out in blue. They come in different colors. The best device for grip and ease of use was this. This is the false eyelash placement device, where you take your false eyelash and you affix it to your eyelid. This is the perfect CD extraction device. And I know some of you have got these, because, you can get them in Amazon and health and beauty aids, just, false eyelash applicator or whatever it's called. And, you get it with rubber tipped once again. And as you can see, let us do one. For example, you go and you open the thing to, let's take one of the middle ones just so that we can show you how wonderfully this is going to work. There we go. Let's get it up here. And, all you do, here it is you open this thing. There it is. And you stick the extraction device on either side of the compact disc, like that. And then you simply extract. Look at that, folks. And no damage to the disc. It's amazing. I mean, they're very nicely and firmly and sturdily put in here. They will not be damaged unless you try and actually play them. That's the point. They don't want them ever to come out. They don't expect that they'll ever be played. They just expect that you'll have this on your coffee table or in your library shelf where you can impress your friends. Let me put this back in its case. Boy, are those great. That was a really good video. I thought helpful video. Anyway, so you'll never get the CDs out, or you're not supposed to listen to them. And then you get this enormous booklet, an enormous booklet. Now the booklet is inserted. I'm afraid to open this. Every time I open it, when you open these things and you hear this like ripping sound, this oh God, what's happening? Well, this is a large booky thing that slides out rather easily. It's paperback. It has shitloads of pictures and useless information about the Vienna Philharmonic and tiny bit of information about the stuff that's actually on the discs. And, well, actually, most of the information is about what's on the discs, I think. But the problem is, hang on, let's see what's in here. Well, no, you've got pictures. That's what you have. You get track listings, and then you get this thing in like really large type, so they don't have to write very much, explaining that the Vienna Philharmonic is the Vienna Philharmonic. And then you've got a track listing. And the problem with this is that element is housed in this rather flimsy paper sleeve that sits on the inside of this thing and makes this alarming noise every time you open this. And it's already, I don't know if you can see this, but see, it's already tearing up here on the edge. I mean, it came that way. I have a feeling that this bit, if you actually want to see what's on the discs and look at the track listing, then your fabulous coffee table set is not going to be long for this world. It's a real issue. And actually, happily, it's all listed on the back, so you can see what you're not ever going to listen to. And I am going to go through this, one disc at a time and just tell you what's on it. Some of the stuff is interesting. Some of it's very well chosen, but that's an issue we'll get to anon. The point is that none of this is intended to actually be played. It's intended just to be existentially. That's all it is. And so, what the hell? So let's go through it, shall we? We begin on CD1, Mozart Symphonies, the Prague Symphony and the Linz Symphony with Riccardo Muti. Those are marvelous, beautiful recordings. They were originally on Philips, which is not here, of course, because Philips is now Decca. But Philips is here in spirit. Let's just call it that. Then we have Beethoven Piano Concerto No. 1 with Alfred Brendel and Simon Rattle. Who cares? Blah. Who cares? And the 7th with Raphael Kubelik. Now, that's nice to have. That's very nice to have. And that was on Deutsche Grammophon, if you recall. Or unless it was one of the earlier ones he did that was on Decca. Well, anyways, with Raphael Kubelik, it's nice to have. Schubert, the Overture to Fierabras, and Symphony No. 2 with Istvan Kertész. Very nice to have. And the Unfinished with Schulte. Nothing special. Then we get Schumann, the Overture to Genevieve with Karl Munchinger. Oh, boy. That's a little bit flat-footed, isn't it? And the Overture, Scherzo, and Finale, and Symphony No. 2 with Schulte. Those are good. Those are quite good. His Schumann was very good with Vienna, so that's nice. And the Overture, Scherzo, and Finale is such a wonderful, neglected piece, so it's nice to have that. Then we get the Brahms Tragic Overture with Karl Böhm, the Alto Rhapsody with Anna-Sophie von Otter and James Levine, and the First Symphony with Karajan. Oh, they should have put the First Symphony with Levine on DG. That would have been so much more satisfying. I mean, Karajan isn't bad, but boy, it's nothing compared to Levine. Then we've got the Bruckner 9 with Bernstein. That's an interesting selection, considering how many Bruckner 9s they have. I mean, or potential Bruckner 9s or whatever. I mean, they've got Giulini, they've got, but they have Bernstein there, so that's fine. Then we have the Dvorak Piano Concerto with Andras Schiff and the New World Symphony with Istvan Kertész. Now, that's Kertész' less wonderful New World Symphony. His better one was the one with the LSO on Decca. This was also on Decca. This was before. Some people prefer this first version. I don't. I mean, if you want to have them do the New World Symphony in Vienna, and it's quite wonderful, you use Kirill Kondrashin. Everybody knows. But somebody here didn't. Okay. Then we're already on CD8. See, we're just blowing through this stuff. Tchaikovsky 5 with Joseph Kripps. It's always fun to have Kripps. That's nice. The Sibelius 7 with Lauren Mazel, which is fabulous. We all agree. CD9 gives you vocal stuff. Wagner, the Wesendonck-Lieder with Kirsten Flagstad and Knappert's Busch, and the Mahler Songs of a Wayfarer with Kvastov and Boulez, not fabulous. And the 4 last songs with Lisa Della Casa and Carl Böhm, which is wonderful. Now, you may notice something so far. We're up to CD9. Most of this stuff here, for reasons I don't understand, is concerto or accompanied solo in one way or another. And I'm very, very puzzled by that, because this is a box, a book, or an object, which is supposed to be celebrating the orchestra. And you don't celebrate an orchestra by giving them piles of concerto accompaniments. So that makes no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, I understand they want to stuff as many famous names in here as they possibly can, but what do they care? No one's ever going to listen to it. It's not designed to be listened to in the first place, so what difference does that make? I don't know. Then we have Schoenberg, a survivor from Warsaw, with Claudio Abbado, the Berg Lulu Suite with Anya Silya and Dochnani, that's fabulous, and the Webern Passacaglia in 5 pieces for orchestra, also with Abbado. Those are all wonderful. They're very, very good. Then we have the obligatory, horrifying avant-garde modern music disc, because it exists. And you get Wolfgang Rimm's Depart and Ligeti, Atmospheres and Lontano. Well, of course, those are masterpieces of the post-war avant-garde. I mean, I love Ligeti, and it's great stuff. And that's with, who's doing that? Abbado. That's all with Abbado. And then we have this guy named Erod, his triple concerto for 3 clarinets and orchestra, conducted by Andras Nelsons. It's kind of like a little jeu d'esprit, which you may never want to hear again. There's a group, they're all together. It's like him and his son and his nephew or whatever, and they're called the Clarinets. It's very amusing. Not, of course, the German being need, not as in not in English, or K-N-O-T, the Clarinets. Maybe that's what they should be. And then we have this other piece by a guy named Starr with 2 A's called Time Recycling, conducted by Semyon Bychkov. Now, I listened to all of this stuff, and I have to confess, I remember it not a bit. I mean, I listened to it recently, and I have a very good musical memory. It's not that it was bad. It's just that I had no desire to repeat it, aside from the Ligeti stuff. I mean, I just saw no point. And then we have Mozart Concertos 23 and 27 with Curzon and George Szell. Those are classics, of course. And the Schumann Piano Concerto and Brahms Piano Concerto No. 2 with Wilhelm Backhaus, conducted by Günter Wahn and Carl Böhm, respectively. Those are also quite famous. And then the Weber Concertstück with Friedrich Gulda, which is lots of fun. I love that piece. And the Bourgeois Gentilhomme Suite with Lauren Mazel, which is nice to have back. I mean, that hasn't been around for like 100,000 years. And we have the Brahms Piano Concerto No. 1 with Maurizio Pollini and Carl Böhm. That's controversial. Some people like it. Some people find it just gaunt and stiff and boring and unforgiving and unyielding and unbending and unfortunate. So it's up to you. I kind of like it, frankly. And then we have the Mendelssohn and Brahms violin concertos with Milstein, Abbado, and Joachim. Those are fabulous, of course. Paganini Violin Concerto No. 4 with the Philip Glass Violin Concerto No. 1 with Gideon Kramer and Riccardo Muti and Christoph Dochnani. And here we are again. Now, I don't know how many people out there are just dying. I mean, panting, yearning, desperate to go spend $100 to have the Vienna Philharmonic play a Philip Glass concerto accompaniment. That seems to me a terrible waste of the orchestra's signal identity and its Viennosity. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Performances, I guess, are fine. I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're okay. But, I mean, Kramer is not a violinist of the Paganini school, let's put it that way, but he gets through it. And the Glass, I like Philip Glass, by the way. Don't get me wrong. He's not going to be on my list of bad composers. I think he's a very good composer quite often. He's amassed a huge and very impressive corpus of work. That's not the issue. The issue is, do we want to hear the Vienna Philharmonic play a Philip Glass concerto accompaniment? I think that speaks for itself. The answer is contained within the question. Okay, next, Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. Again, another one in this little box. Why would we need two? Along with the Carmen Fantasy by Sarasate and Ravel's Tzigane, the worst thing Ravel ever wrote, with Anna Sophie Mutter and Herbert von Karajan and James Levine. Totally, completely, utterly unnecessary. There is no reason this disc had to be there whatsoever, especially when you have the Tchaikovsky with Milstein. And I mean, she's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but, I mean, why? Why? It makes no sense. Schumann Cello Concerto, Brahms Double Concerto with Misha Maisky, Gideon Kramer, and Leonard Bernstein. I don't think those are very exciting performances, quite frankly. And the last disc, this is a real puzzle. You've got the Ravel G Major Piano Concerto with Bernstein. Now remember, that was back in the Vienna Live, whatever, 125th or 100th or something, or I don't know, there was some anniversary box where they had a bunch of live stuff. And one of the live stuff things they had was the Bernstein Ravel Concerto, which is terrible. The orchestra's terrible. Bernstein's terrible. It's just terrible. It really is bad, unbelievably bad. And then you have Nights in the Gardens of Spain, conducted and played by Daniel Barenboim. And that also is just terrible. It's heavy and clunky and totally lacking in atmosphere. And it's a snooze fest. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And then we've got the Previn Diversions for piano and orchestra, played and conducted by Andrei Previn, which is completely forgettable. It's a diversion. I don't know what it diverts you from. It diverts you from whatever else you'd rather be doing. I guess that's the point. And in that, if you listen to it, then it will have been successfully diverting. I prefer to remain on the true path. So there you have it. That's it. 20 discs, about $100, a booky thing, difficult to remove CDs. I don't know who's going to want this. Like I said, it seems like it was made, not as a listening experience at all. And I'll be very curious to see what's in the next volumes, of course. I just don't understand why they're leading off. You lead off with you put your best foot forward. Couldn't they do better than just a batch of concerto accompaniments for the Vienna Philharmonic? Die Vienna Philharmonic? Die Wiener Philharmoniker? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm puzzled. You've heard the list of repertoire. You'll know if you want this. I mean, I can't say that anybody wants it's getting garbage. Most of it isn't. There are two or three useless discs in there, but some of it is just marvelous. Some of it's wonderful. Most of it's been packaged elsewhere. If you've got a Milstein box, or you've got a Backhouse box, or a Bohm box, or a Kubelik box, or a Kertész box, or you've got all this stuff already. So breaking it all up and salting it in here, I don't think is all that appealing, unless you're not a serious collector. But of course, this is not for a serious collector. Maybe for people who just want samples. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm completely mystified by the logic behind this, assuming there was any at all. But you are the ones who have to make up your minds and decide if you want it or not. And I will just leave it there. Keep on listening, folks. Thanks for joining me. Make some shelf space. Take care.